Hello, Gabriel.
Hello, Martina.
It happened 2 times or 3 times that we were talking before the interview, and then we said, oh, we should have said that in the interview. And for me, that happened today. There was a point when we were talking before, and I thought, wow, that would be interesting for the interview. And you told, we were talking about the purpose of possibility management, or the meaning of possibility management, and you shifted and told me that you were floating today. And I would like you to tell that again, what that is, and go on with that.
Floating.
Yeah.
Floating is like lying in 36 degrees warm Celsius, warm water. It's like the skin, like the body temperature, and can be also 35 degrees because the skin temperature is a little bit less than the core temperature. And it's lying in a like chamber of hot salt water. So as in the Black Sea, where the people just there's these pictures of people floating in the salt water, reading the newspaper on their backs.
Mm-hmm.
This is similar. It's lying in salt water, and the temperature of the water has the temperature of the body. So at some point, the border or the boundary of the physical body and the water and the air, it just vanishes. And it's just like somehow, I don't really know how to describe it. Mm-hmm. It's somehow, yeah, it's floating.
Mm-hmm. And why did you tell that thing about floating at the moment when we were talking about possibility management being a toolbox? Why did that come into your mind at that moment?
I'm not sure if I can answer this question. I had floating as a topic to talk about today, like since I floated, because I'm with friends at the moment and they have a floating tank. So I just tried it out somehow. And usually when you go into a store, it costs like 80 euros for, I don't know, 35 minutes or something, or 45 minutes. It's quite expensive. And I have been dreaming about floating for 10 years, I think. It's at some point in my life, I heard about it and I thought, okay, I'm going to do this. I have to do this. Mm-hmm. I have to do this. And I never did. And today I even researched about how much a floating tank would be and how much does it cost to like have your own tank in, I don't know, in an apartment or later in a house, whatever, wherever I'm living in the future. I don't know, mm-hmm. like how much is a floating tank, because I knew somehow this is something for me, but mm-hmm. I never tried it. My box made me not do it. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I did it today and it was really freaking out my box.
Yeah, what is it?
I'm not sure mm-hmm. what the connection to the PM being a toolbox is.
Okay, let me ask you in another way. What was this floating experience for your physical body?
Very new, very new. In a way, I have never. My physical body has never experienced that. It was like it was floating. Like I've never been at the Black. I think it's Black Sea, also in English. I've never been, or yeah.
Oh, it's the Dead Sea.
The Dead Sea, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, the Dead Sea. I've never been at the Dead Sea. I've never been in so much salt water, and it's just like such a weird experience. It took me some time for my physical body, for my head, mm-hmm. who's usually always on the neck. It's always, even if I relax in the bed, it's always some somewhere there's always some muscles that are active, and to just really relax into this falling into the water backwards and trusting the water that is gonna like support me and hold me up.
Mm-hmm. What was the floating for your energetic body?
It was somehow very calming and at the same time very like frightening, because it was so new, and then I float around, and then like if I had a little bit of movement in one direction, I would just like slowly move to the wall and then hit the wall at some point, and just by hitting it, and 2 seconds later I couldn't already hit it anymore. So it was just a very unusual experience of not being able to somehow grasp where I really am, because I had my eyes closed, I had earplugs in, I was just lying there in the dark without really knowing where I am.
Is it a dark room?
Yes,
right?
yeah, it's a dark chamber.
And you were talking about that you had some fear. My next question would be, what did you feel there? How was it for your emotional body? What was the fear about?
I had the fear before going in of, okay, am I really doing this? What if I'm doing it wrong? What if I don't like it? What if it doesn't work? What if like all these like rather don't do it, and then you can still say that you want to do it. But if you do it and then you don't like it, then it's like the fantasy world is broken.
Mm-hmm.
And going in there weren't any major feelings. It was just very calm, very calm.
What about the minor feelings, slow ones, the small ones?
One time there was a drop coming from the top, because the hot water like condenses at the top, and then there was one drop hitting my hip bone.
Yeah.
And I was like, my anger was exploding. It was shaking, and the whole water was
Wow.
shaking, because I didn't expect it.
Was it a cold drop? Was it cold?
I don't remember.
Yeah, and sometimes I can imagine that you cannot sense really if it's hot or cold.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you're lying in the Badewanne and the Wasserhahn is dropping, then you don't know, is it hot or is it cold?
Yeah.
And yeah. So is it with a roof? Is it a closed?
Yeah.
Like
It's a closed chamber.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
So I think it has the same temperature that the water also had, because the air was also the same.
Mhm.
Like some part of the body is under the water, and some part was like touching the air somehow, and it was still just as if there's no boundary. And I think I'm still liquid. Like it's one of these things that I didn't really get what it did. Like I didn't really get, my mind doesn't understand what it is.
What would you say, which of your 5 bodies, for which of your 5 bodies was it nourishing, nourishing? For which of your 5 bodies was it?
I would even say it was nourishing somehow for all my 5 bodies. Yeah. There is no time, no space. There is nothing to think about. It's just like, maybe it's a focus on the energetic body, but it's just very, very liquid, very liquid. I really have trouble to describe it. I have trouble to describe it. It's I read like experience people who shared their experience online with in some articles about floating, what it is and what it does, what it makes, and like I didn't get it before.
I have the idea. I never heard about that. It's the first time today that I hear about it, but I have the idea that it is in the mother's womb, because it's a dark closed room. You are the temperature is as your own body temperature, and you are floating around. You have those the frontiers of the vessel, of the thing, and I don't know. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, the image that came with me for me sometimes, like a few times, was somehow lying on the outer surface of the earth, like somehow above the clouds in the nothing, and just lying somehow looking into the void.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's how it felt like.
Thank you, Gabriel.
Thank you, Martina.
See you next week.
See you next week.